AEW Revolution. It took place in Los Angeles, California, at the Crypto Arena in, well,
Staples. Mama called it Staples. We call it Staples.
we call it Staples Center. Attendance was the setup for the event was 11,745. Um, Attendance was 11,322. Only available tickets were 423. Thank you, Russell Tix on X, for that information. Um, Honestly, the biggest crowd that they've done in quite some time. And having been there, it was a hot crowd. People was into what was seen or what was happening. Um, the problem with AEW is when you build some momentum like this, especially coming out of massive news like John Cena is a heel now. You wanna get some not heat. You want to get people talking and you want to get people hyped for your show. And they did
Mm-hmm.
a decent job at that during the event. I mean, we'll talk about the event in a second, but literally the next Wednesday on Raw, on Dynamite, it's main evented by Orange Cassidy and Hechicero. Like, give me a fucking break. Like, you had all of that story. You made all of that whoop-de-doo on Sunday, and then your main event for Wednesday is Hechicero versus Orange Cassidy. They don't know how to hold on to momentum. Um, but going back to the event itself, um, I was there, so I did do what I usually do for all of AEW events. I'd watch two matches at a time. So I watched the first two matches, then I left the arena. I came back the
Jesus
next
Christ.
I came back the next day. I watched two new matches. No, like legitimately, this is the first time I've watched a full AEW pay preview, including pre-show, um, in a very long time, maybe almost ever. So I do say that it is maybe a slightly easier to digest when you're there, but maybe not by much. Um, but I've said a lot so far. What was your thoughts about the show as a whole?
I mean, yeah, you kind of nailed a little bit of it. Like it's almost like they become an enemy of getting in their own way, um, which makes it crazy, right? That we think of them that way. Um, I overall good, okay match. Some of the stuff that I expected to happen, that we expected to happen, just kind of like bam, went left field on us. Which that was a pleasant surprise, to say the least. So I can't say, give them credit for that much. Certain things we knew was gonna be the outcome. Mercedes Monet, we talking to you, and then and everything else, we it kind of was what it was.
Do you want to know what my biggest issue with this show was? It was placement of the matches on the card. The matches that the match order of these the order of these matches was wonky as fuck, and it like I said, like you said, like I said, AEW it gets in their own way and can be their own worst enemy. And they were 100% their worst enemy when it came to how they booked this card. We'll get into that a little later, but let's talk about the main card. Um, well, the the pre-show matches was Commander and a hologram with Alex Abrahantes. They defeated Lee Johnson and Blake Christian in 9 minutes 55 seconds. Daniel Garcia with the Undisputed Kingdom defeated Shane Taylor Promotions in 9 minutes 10 seconds. And Big Boom AJ, the Costco guy, teamed with Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe to defeat John Morrison and Mansoor and Manson Madden with Tyler Valkyrie.
Eminem.
Yeah. So you didn't necessarily miss much with the undercard or the pre-show, as some call it. But the thing, first and foremost, I can't believe that I actually saw the Costco guy wrestle. Like, I've seen The Rock wrestle CM Punk, but did I really need to see the Costco guy wrestle? But in the same breath, people were actually into the fucking Costco guy. Like, he got bigger pops than some of the people on the main card. Like, what the fuck?
Costco practices DEI. Just saying. Costco's hot right now.
Well, that brings us to the first match of the main card, and that is Porn Stars Adam Page defeating MJF in 19 minutes 10 seconds. Not a bad match. Thought it was a good match. Maybe too long. If I didn't decide to take sides on this match, I doubt I would have cared about it. I went with Hangman. Hangman won. Was kind of okay with that. Wasn't gonna cry if MJF won though. Felt like there was good back and forward. But what say you, Kaliko? What did you think of the match?
I mean, the shocker was that Adam Page won.
Definitely not.
Usually, I would have thought the lifer would have got it, but it is what it is.
How many stars you give this one?
I 3.
Um, I give it 3.5. Maybe it's because I being in attendance bias. I give it another half. So all my ratings will be bumped by a half because I was there.
Ooh, look at you! The I was there T-shirt factor. Look at you.
Yes. Um, that brings us to the AEW That Bitch Show Championship. Mercedes.
Well, you forgot about the other AEW that bitch, which is time for another episode of Guess the Rating.
Where's the sound effect? There you go.
Hey, I get the thumbs up, the class. There we go. Let's
There you
go.
go. Okay, so it went 20, just under 20 minutes. There was a couple of forced finishes. Low key, somebody almost died because of a bad botch. Um, let's see. How many stars do I want to give this? Okay, so I am going to give this. Well, Dave Meltzer is giving it Four and a quarter.
Damn, you were close.
Four and a half?
4.5.
Okay. I mean, it explains a lot about Dave Meltzer, so. Okay. So, going to that bitch show championship, Mercedes Monette defeated Momo Watanabe. Um, honestly, the whole match was crickets. Like, there was crickets the whole long way, unfortunately. Um, and the shame is Momo is actually a really good wrestler. Um, got hurt during the match as well. I think she broke her ankle. I couldn't necessarily tell you. But there was actually on the floor of the show there was a fight broke out, and people were actually more interested in that fight than what was going on in the actual ring. Um, I don't know if that took away from the match, but it definitely had more cheers than what was going on in the ring. Unfortunately. Um. So yeah, it was hard to tell knowing who was gonna win. What say you, Kaliko?
I mean, I could have told you that bitch was getting sacrificed, yo. I mean, I personally, I don't even know why I'm even talking about this match because we knew what was going to happen.
That we did, and it happened.
Like, it happens, all right? Next.
All right. We have actually ratings. We need ratings. How many stars you
Yes,
give this one?
you. Because it was predictable as shit. We knew what was going to happen. We knew who was going to win.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. Two. Doesn't get biased. I give the guys that had the match in the stands uh, uh, 2.5 because of
You
bias.
give them a better rating than goddamn. Oh, wow.
Alright, that brings us to number
The
one.
next rating,
Oh yeah, let's see. 3,
higher,
3.5,
higher,
4.25.
4.25.
You gotta watch out for those quarters.
And, it is Melter and Monet. I guess their name starts with M, so M&M connection.
I didn't think that he liked her that much, but then again, um, Momo is Japanese and he does love his Joshis. That's for sure.
Damn.
Um, the singles match to determine the number one contender for the AEW World Championship. We have Swivel Strickland, which prints na 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 hey hey goodbye. Um, he defeated Rick Lachey in 18 minutes and 10 seconds. Um, my God, the crowd was fucking electric for Swerve Strickland. Like when they say whose house, Swerve's house, the fucking Staples Center was Swerve's house because he people were there to Swerve when they drive. They were all about it. They were there for it. Um, and yeah, it worked really really well. Um, I didn't think it was a bad match either. Um, told a pretty good story if I do say so myself. With Nana leaving, you know, playing, oh, there's issues between me and Swerve, just to trick Ricochet, stuff like that. Um, And Swerve's presenting Nana with the rope was actually a pretty good feel good moment as well. So, what say you, Kaliko? What did you think about the match?
I mean, the right guy won, so we could thank God for that, right? At least one can thank God for that. Uh, I I think the issue now is like, where does Ricochet go from here?
Um, Back onto the independents.
I does he?
Why don't want him in AEW?
Damn, that bad.
I
Tough
don't want to.
crowd.
I don't want to see Ricochet. Generally, but continue with your thought.
Damn, just doing my man dirty. What did Ricochet do to you, son?
I mean, I just don't like him.
He gonna look at you. He don't give a shit. He got the hottest chick in the game, wearing the chain.
I mean, he doesn't have Stephanie Vacour, so that doesn't. So it means literally nothing. Null and void.
Wow. Cold blooded. Yeah, you're right. He ain't got the bakery. What is it? I mean,
Yeah.
touche. Touche.
The match, Kaliko. The match.
The match. But I mean, I told you the right guy won. I mean, that's about as much as you can make of it. I mean, Swerve got the hometown. It felt like he got the West Coast treatment,
That he did.
considering he is in a northeast or northwest kid. So, I mean, it felt like the Atlanta Falcons versus the New Orleans Saints when New Orleans first played in the dome after the flood, and Ricochet was the Atlanta Falcons getting his ass waxed.
And when's the last time the Falcons ever won a Super Bowl?
They never won a Super Bowl. They blew a Super Bowl before they even won a Super Bowl.
I mean, that sounds very Ricochet, no?
That sounds very Ricochet at all. Very much so, especially when it's someone who proclaims himself to be quote unquote the Kobe Bryant of this shit.
They win no fucking world championships, but you're Kobe Bryant.
Hey man, you gotta start somewhere. If nobody else believes in you, how can you believe
I
it?
mean, hasn't he been wrestling like for like legitimately like 20 years?
Yeah, I mean Prince Puma, the Puma days. Yeah, he's been in the game for a minute.
And he hasn't won a WWE World Championship, a TNA Championship, and I mean, TNA gives those championships out like free candy.
You're
Um,
lying, sir. They don't give them out like candy.
to prove me wrong.
I mean, if that was the case, Adam Cole's ass should have had one.
I mean, he wasn't in a TNA.
No, you talking about TNA.
Yeah,
Or T I mean, that's AEW. See, AEWT. Oh, yeah, if you can't get it in TNA, shit, Naomi fucking hopped her ass out and got
fucking Dolph Ziggler. I mean, he didn't win a
to
world
be
championship.
fair, Dolph Ziggler's a former world champion. Put some respect on the name.
Very true. Um, didn't win a world championship in WWE, NXT, TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan. Um, oh, maybe he won it in Lucha Underground, but like they died like a decade
Lucha,
ago.
yeah. See,
I mean, they died like a decade ago. Like, a company that's actually is still in business. What?
I
How,
mean, damn.
how many stars you give this one?
Uh, 3.5 because it was a good match. I mean, but I just you felt the crowd. The crowd made it seem like if Swerve lost, they were gonna riot. So Ricochet had to take one for.
I give this 4.5. It did everything that it needed for me in the match. Got the swerve when I drive. Um, had some good moments. Had some drama. Everything worked. Honestly, this was the match of the night for me, if I'm being honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, look at you. I mean, look at you. Got you a match of the night. The AEW got a match out of the night out of your head.
Well, to be like I was saying, to be fair, I was at the show, so you know there had to have been something to stand out for me to enjoy my time at the show.
I mean, hey, take how you get it. Although, I mean, fun fact, I remember one time, sidebar. I I showed my mom an AEW show, and the first match was Swerve and Prince Nana coming out there doing all that Swerve shit. And my mom just like, look at this black ass acting a fool. Just was like, mom is wrestling. Come on. Give a man some slack. It's crazy.
Put some respect on the prince's name.
I mean, I tried. I tried to help her. No avail.
I get it. All right, Uncle Dave. Um,
Uncle Dave.
4.
You said 4?
Yeah.
Higher.
4 7/5.
That's the money.
Damn, almost a 5-star match.
Or, I mean, I think he's trying to show Swerve love since Swerve lost the title.
I think he's trying to show Tony love. This is how he shows
Ooh.
Tony love.
I mean, I would think he would give all these to show the Young Bucks love.
I mean, the Young Bucks slowly packed up and went to New Japan.
You would too when motherfuckers out here trying to choke you out with a paper bag.
Yep. You know what? The I'll give them credit. They knew when it was time to leave, and literally their own company.
I mean, I mean, they're black. You know, they see some shit go down, they get the fuck out of town.
What? The Young Bucks are not black.
They showed the black tendencies.
Fair enough. Um, we have the AEW Continental Breakfast Championship. Kazuchika Okeo defeated Borgo Brody King in 10 minutes and 55 seconds. Um,
Next,
Loki, I didn't think it was a bad match. Brody played the monster. Okada gave him some momentum to let him play the monster. Those chops that he gave him was gut wrenching. Um, I thought for what it was, it worked. Um, just my opinion. Um, how many stars you give this one?
let's see. Okada not being Okano's 3.5.
Hmm, 3.5. I'll give it. I'll give it 4. Give that half a star biased.
Look at you. Man, that half a star bias turning your threes into fives, bro. I'm just,
It turned it into a 4. It wasn't that big of a jump. I thought it. Again, I thought
just
it
saying.
worked for what it was. Uncle Dave gave this 4.25.
Lower.
3.5.
Told you.
Three,
Higher.
3/7
Three sevens bills. I told you, man, he was on par with me with this match. He agreed with me.
Now we have
He's seen better out of Okada. He knows better.
honestly, this was the best match Okada had in maybe his whole tenure of AEW as of now. Maybe you could make an argument for the Osprey match he had a couple months ago. But the guy just hasn't had good matches in AEW generally.
Yeah, look who he's working with. No offense. Let me stop that.
I mean, I like Brody. I think Brody's a good worker. If
No, I'm talking about the talent with the continental pool and all that.
Oh yeah,
Like they're not giving him like I don't know. It's just they're not. It feels like he's the rainmaker, but the wrestler formerly known as the rainmaker,
he's the light drizzle maker.
Drizzle Drizzle King.
Let me see it.
There it is.
Dribble dribble. Let me see you wiggle wiggle. If you know what I mean.
There
Uh,
it goes.
we got the AEW World Tag Team Championship. The Ouchie Business, Bobby Lashley and Sultan Benjamin with VIP. They defeated the Outrunners, Turbo Floyd and Troop Magnum. Um, yeah, this was your Botchamania highlight, I would say. Um, Literally on your hands, you knew who was winning next. Like, please get to the next match. And
It felt like this match was on like WWE Superstars in the '80s.
you're not lying. Like, and it was. I mean, the Outrunners, obviously, the crowd is kind of into them right now, but they were definitely not ready for prime time, if I'm being completely honest. Like, they were not what they needed to be in this match. And they were basically just cannon fodder for the Hurt Business. I mean, we knew that they was already, but they could have had somewhat of a better showing than they did. They just looked like shit in this match, if I'm being honest.
I mean, you were expecting more out of that. I mean, they're making Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin look like Shelton Benjamin and Brock Lesnar like in OVW.
But luckily, it only lasted 8 minutes and 40 seconds. It felt like
Well,
15, if I'm being honest. Um, but what say you, Kaliko? How many stars do you give this one?
it was only 8 minutes, but it felt like 15. Oh my god.
It felt like,
But
oh my,
two, we knew who was going to win.
it felt like, oh my god,
Oh, sorry, continue.
just end it. Just end the match. Like Bobby, beat him. Win the match now, Bobby. Win the match, Bobby.
Rocky Four, throw the towel.
Yeah.
Throw the towel.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
You know what? I give this a 1.5. The
Mm,
I was still bias goes both ways. So I took off a half a star.
damn. He took off the curve. Damn. All right. What do you think Meltzer gave it?
2.5?
Lower,
2.25.
lower,
2.
1.5.
Wow, really?
Really?
Considering Swerve and Swerve and Ricochet was almost 5, and then 2 matches later this is 1.5. That's insane.
That's a wild swing.
Yeah. Um, False count ending anywhere. Hollywood ending match. Timeless Tony Storm with Lex Luthor defeated Mariah Carey by pinfall in 12 minutes and 55 seconds. Um, yeah, this was one of the reasons a lot of people actually came to the show was the Hollywood ending between Tony Storm and Mariah May. Um, One of the best women's storylines that have been on any wrestling program for quite some time. These girls
Really?
knew how to tell a fantastic story leading into this show. Um, the match itself, there were some things I liked. There were some things I didn't like. Obviously they killed each other, which you would expect. Um, I love the fact that May came out as a bride, always the bridesmaid, never the bride herself. Kind of plays into the storyline. There was a taser that was cool. The Sue, playing a major factor considering that's how everything kicked off. No pun intended. But the thing that really took me out was the glass and them taping up their hands with the sticky side up and putting the glass on their fist like Van Damme, not Rob. Hokey things like that really take me out of matches, especially when it stops the match completely in order to set something up. Uh, but I mean, at the end of the day, it did what it was supposed to do. I could maybe argue it could have been maybe like 3 minutes longer. Um, but like I said, some things I liked, some things I didn't like. The things I didn't like didn't necessarily bother me as much as they could have. They probably would have if I watched it on TV. Um, what say what say you, Kaliko? What did you think?
I mean, it went from a street fight to the Kumite with the glasses. I'm like, yeah, the first thing I thought when the glass, when they put their hands in the glasses, I'm like, wait a minute, we have blood sport? Like,
Yeah.
like, baby, but I mean, but uh, for these two, I could see why they needed to stop to make that happen because it just showed the willingness that they're willing, the willing to, the willingness to project bodily harm on somebody. And it's almost kind of like the women's version of the Swerve Page match in LA
Okay.
in a sense where it was like very violent a lot. I mean, the whole point of it was to show the violence.
I mean, nobody was getting
Uh,
hepatitis in this match, though.
I mean, nobody was going to Kaiser. I mean, but they were going to Kaiser.
Oh yeah, a lot
The
of
trip to
these.
Kaiser was.
I mean, everybody went. No, not Kaiser, but Cedar Sinai.
But But yeah, I mean, but the right person won at the end. So it all ended well. Like I just said, the question is, where does Mariah go from here? Because you did all that to make her a star, and she had the title for what, 4 months
She
at
did
best?
nothing with the title though. Well,
Right. So she basically was Shinsuke Nakamura with the US title
more or less, yeah.
with a longer time frame.
How many stars do you give this one?
Considering that they went all out, I'll give it a 4.
I'll give it a 4 as well. It was the Hollywood ending that the rivalry deserved.
Yes.
Alright, Dave Meltzer.
Days melts. Fucking melts.
4 7/5?
Higher.
5.
Gave it a 5.
Damn. So Glass, it makes it a 5 star. Okay, I got you, Dave.
I guess. Blood sports makes it a 5.
AEW International Championship match. Kenny Omega defeated Colt Kutska, take Shida in 28 minutes 30 seconds. Um, felt like a Kenny Omega match. Felt like Kenny Omega, somewhat New Japan. Maybe not as intense as his New Japan matches, but I felt like maybe it ended slightly abruptly. He didn't necessarily get the, one winged angel, uh, what is it called? A definitive win. But, people still popped for him, and people were into the match the whole long way. I mean, like I said, it's Kenny Omega in a singles match. People were showing up for it. And,
Yep.
I mean, I was definitely invested. At this point in the show, we're almost 4 hours. No, we're probably yeah. No, we're 4 hours into the show. So, I mean, I was fatigued, but I was still into it. I was still up for it. Um, what say you, Kaliko?
Although this match, it, I, I'm kind of conflicted in this match because while, I mean, Konosuke was having a hell of a run, it was just glad to see Kenny be Kenny, even for a little bit, right? Considering what he went through last year.
Right.
And it just goes to show that he's still got it, and he's working his way back to it. And otherwise, they wouldn't have put the belt on him if they didn't feel comfortable with him being the Kenny of old. Now, where does he go from here is going to be interesting because you would think that his thing with Don Callis is over
I wasn't under the
with this
impression
plan.
that it was. But continue.
No, I'm saying you would think it would be over. So honestly, I'm just happy to see Kenny back. At 80% Kenny is just something to rave about. And consider where he came from, it's the gods.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with you. He didn't necessarily need the title, but, we're telling the story of Kenny and Konosuke, Obviously things are not over between the two of them, so
Hmm.
we'll see where it goes. Um, just um, all things considering, this show was very um storyline driven. Like everybody had a reason to want to beat somebody up in this match. MGF almost set Hangman on fire. Swerve and Ricochet's been going at it since the year started.
Ricochet got there. Shit.
Yeah,
Shit.
Tony and Mariah have been wrestling for almost a year straight now. Kenny and Konosuke, Konosuke was his, I want to say Konosuke was his last rivalry before he left. So, there was, the, there were issues that people could actually sink their teeth into rather than just scratch their head on and say, okay, why are these guys wrestling?
It is almost kind of like that for one night they got out of that dream match scenario shit.
Yeah,
If that's what you're trying to.
100%. And then the next week on Dynamite, Orange Cassidy versus Hetachiro is the fucking main event.
Hey man, not all can be winners. Got old habits die hard. So.
So we're we are 4 hours into this paid preview. If you count the pre-show, which was an hour, and we're 3 hours into the main show, that's 4 hours in total that I've been at this show. Now I'm tired. I'm I'm fatigued. I'm kind of wanting to go home at this point. But I could like it's not a bad thing to have be feeling that way and only having one match to go, which I could understand. Okay, well we still have one more match to go. There's two more matches, and spoiler
30
alert,
minute long matches.
exactly. This is where AEW jumps the shark. We don't need 5 hours of pro wrestling. I was ready to go home before Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher started. I could be okay enough to watch the match if that was the last match. But then they just kept going. Do you understand what I'm getting at with this? Do
Yes.
you understand where I'm coming from? That
Yeah, it's kind of like you're at a buffet and you're like, yeah, I'm full. Let me go home. And they just throw another plate of lobsters, crab legs at you. And you're like, bitch.
yeah, yeah. That brings us to the steel cage match. Will Ospreay versus Kyle Flatulence, 29 minutes.
No
If
time for a cage match.
first and well, let's first and foremost, this should not have gone on second to last. This either should have opened the show or this should have ended the show. When we started this review, I said the card placement of these matches was drastically horrible. Nobody wanted what was to be the main event after this match happened. I dare say that they wouldn't have wanted it anyway, but that's a whole other conversation when we get there. If you wasn't going to do Will Ospreay and Fletcher the cage match, the first match out, then you needed to do this the main event, and you should have had Tony and Mariah start the show. It just the card placement just seemed very lopsided and out of place. Did you feel that way, or was it because I had maybe more of a perspective because I was there?
Well, the issue was they had a lot of story. the good news is they had lot of story laden matches. Bad news is they put it all in one clip and shot it all out at one night. Because you can't sit here and tell me that half of those matches you could have spread it over the next 5 weeks.
5 weeks, I could make the argument they could have spread it out for the next 3, 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's where it kind of, because if this was like their mania, yeah, you would get it, right?
Yeah.
But that's where it kind of loses you. It wasn't their mania.
Well, I feel like if I mean, first and foremost, I've never been a big fan of either of these guys. And if I wouldn't have seen this match in person, I probably would have hated it. Seeing it in person, I mean,
Still,
I still didn't like it. But I could also appreciate that these guys, what they did in the match, being there live. Um, but I mean, it's like I said, when they just kept going. Like this match should have ended like 5 times, and they just kept going. They fell off the fucking cage, and it still went on for another 5 minutes. It wasn't a bad match for what it was, but considering like CM Punk and Seth Rollins had a cage
a
match
cage match.
literally the next night, and they did not even a quarter of what these guys did and got a bigger reaction, it just tells you where things are in the whole grand scheme of things. And I dare say that their rivalry is just as hot and heated as what Osprey and Kyle is doing. But how did you feel about the match?
I mean, that's a valid argument to make. But like I said, it was an empty the clip pay-per-view. It was like, you want storylines? We're going to give them to you till you can't get them no more. And with this one, I mean, 29 minutes for a cage match with no interference is like crazy work.
There was interference.
No, I'm just saying like that thoroughly that that thoroughly decided the outcome of the match.
Okay.
Like like Roman coming out yanking Seth, that thoroughly changed the outcome of the match.
Okay, I understand what you mean.
Um, so to me, yeah, I mean they emptied the clip on it, so this better been the blow off.
I mean, you would
That's all
think.
I could say. And so Don Callis's family is 0 for 2 tonight. I mean, I thought it would have been one or the other, but,
Right.
but Tony said, "Fuck that."
How many stars you give this one?
3.5. It was good, but then it just drew out. It just that shit just drew out. It was like, okay.
The I was there bias is kicking in. 4 stars.
Mm. All right. Keep in mind, it's Will Ospreay now.
I know. Oh, we're talking about Dave Meltzer. Okay, so
Yes. Yeah.
Will. Okay, so Will Osprey is in the match. That immediately takes it up to 5. Uh, 6.5.
Stop. That's it.
But just 5.
Just 5. Just you knocked it on the head. Oh yeah, Will Ospreay did it. Yeah, it's probably a 5.
Oh, so it was a solid five, only five.
Solid five, only five. I guess he got. I mean, it wasn't at the Tokyo.
I thought for sure that this was going to be a 6.5.
I mean, it's not in the Tokyo Dome.
I guess, but I mean, Will Osprey was in the match and it wasn't over five. That's insane.
I mean,
All right,
maybe it was past Nelson's curfew. I don't know.
that brings us to the AEW World Championship match. Um, John Moxley defeated neo-Nazi Moxicillin defeated. Why the fuck are they calling him Cope? Edge. Um, Christian cashed in his casino gauntlet, his Money in the Bank briefcase, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Um, he entered the match. Moxley choked out Cage, won the match. Kaliko, have you ever been to a golf game?
I mean, a golf match, yes.
You know when like the golfers hit the ball and then you have that polite like clap.
Golf clap,
Yeah,
yes.
this was a
Called a
golf.
golf clap.
The people were so drained and tired, and I don't even think it was because of the steel cage match, but just about being there for 4.5 hours. We were golf clapping this match, and those golf claps were far and few. I mean, you could literally hear a nail hitting the floor. It was dead silent, and maybe it would have gotten a better response if it was lower on the card. But considering that Osprey and Kyle literally jumped the fucking shark while they were exploding the shark, and then swords of glass came out of the shark when it exploded, people were ready to go home after being there for 4.5 hours.
I
So
mean, think about it. That show started on the West Coast at three,
at
four,
four,
what,
four
five,
o'clock,
4?
4 o'clock. The pre-show started at 4.
God
So
bless you, man.
thank you. I really appreciate that. And then you just give us a singles one-on-one match, no with no stipulation, and you expect us to actually be up for it. And it's these guys are like what in mid 40s at this point. Cope's probably in his 50s at this point,
Colton, for sure.
and this is the main event. And like they were wrestling like old men to begin with. It was
All three of them, Metamucil.
yeah, it
The
was just
Metamucil Mafia was in effect.
it was just a bad fucking match to end the show. Like I didn't like Moxley won. I couldn't have killed give less of a fuck. I mean when Christian came in, people popped like we were like there was a generally people were excited that something might actually change. But when Moxley was got the belt and he won, like he didn't want to stay any longer. I heard that Swerve actually jumped on Moxley from the rafters. Yeah, I didn't see that in person. I left after the bell rang.
He's like, fuck this, we're out.
I was like, yeah, let's beat traffic. I'm done with this. I want to go home. I need to eat something. I'm not paying arena prices. But what say you, Kaliko? What are your thoughts?
It, I mean, I told you Christian was going to cash in. I just didn't think he was going to be unsuccessful
Yeah,
because at that point, I mean, he was when he won it, he was the most. You would have for sure thought he would have cashed it in a more calculating way than this. Wouldn't you agree?
I would definitely agree. But
So that's where that was the disappointing part to me.
yeah, I mean, this is basically their version of Money in the Bank, and the first person to actually win it doesn't actually do anything with it. It devalues the this new system that they're trying to implement.
Unless they're just, yeah, because that's why I tell you when you introduce something new, you have to make it serious. By the only way you can make things serious when you change something drastically or introduce something drastically new is for that thing to pay dividends right away.
Yeah, Tony
Nia
didn't get.
Jax, as much as you wanted to say about Nia Jax winning the King of the Ring, the King of the Ring needed to be validated more so than Nia Jax winning the title.
Yeah, Tony didn't get that memo. I mean, you can
I
make.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, did Moxley use his backstage "I'm the captain of the ship" acumen? I don't know.
From.
Or maybe he was the one that cashed in when he was the last person to cash in successfully at a Money in the Bank from WWE in that group. It was like, fuck y'all ain't doing that to me.
From what I hear, Moxley was never going to lose the championship at this show. The Dead Riders continue to ride. So, um, yeah, they
What is
just,
the point of them riding? Where are they riding to?
yeah, nobody,
Obscurity?
nobody knows. Um, but yeah, you could make the argument
Hmm.
if Edge didn't successfully cash in the first Money in the Bank, would anybody give a shit about Money in the Bank in 2025? So I get what you mean by that. Um, One thing we didn't talk about was the girl from the Queen of the Ring movie. Um, I don't know if you saw this. You probably seen it. They interviewed her at the show, and she said, you all know who's gonna win, and she appreciates that. Um, you just let me know about that, some shit like that. When they just started interviewing randos from the crowd, I wasn't listening, so like I said, I was there, but I really wasn't paying attention to what was going on, so I didn't hear that.
Oh gosh.
I'm not joking, that either. Um, but what do you think? What are your thoughts on people saying that she exposed the business right before the main event?
I mean, if anybody really thought Cope was winning that title, you smoking.
Well, not the,
And
that he was gonna win, but that she said that wrestling is fake before the main event went on.
oh, what?
Yeah,
You mean she exposed the business that all these other wrestlers expose on Twitter every day? What? The audacity.
yeah. I felt like it wasn't that big of a deal either.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that deep.
And it wasn't like it was a WWE show. It was a fucking AEW show. They know that it's fake. They watch AEW.
I mean, this is coming from the crowd that yells it's not WWE, and they got the nerve to be pissed when someone says it's a sport, damn it. No, just
How many stars you give this one, Kaliko?
I'm disappointed in the cash in. I three.
Wow, you're really generous with this one, aren't you?
I mean, generous that they added Christian. Not so generous where they didn't let him cash in successfully. Because I thought he would have cashed in on Edge. And that's what I said. I was like, either he's cashing in on Edge after the match, and then Christian is Swerve, which gives Swerve a better shot to get his title back. Because to me, Swerve winning now, Sonata Slaughter, baby.
Yep. I gave it -2.
Damn.
Yeah.
And that's shit, choke my drink. God, wow. Jesus.
Bad wrestling.
Who?
Bad inconsistent storytelling. Um, bullshit ending, and the wrong person won. All the ingredients of a bad match.
Huh? You feel how you feel?
Yeah. And placement of the match was terrible as well. So, just a recipe for disaster. Alright, Uncle Dave gave this 3 1/4.
Damn, yeah, 3 1/4. What the?
Hmm.
You cheated. You cheated.
I did not cheat, I swear.
Fucking cheater.
I did not cheat, I swear.
Who can cheat?
I'm in tune with what Uncle Dave is feeling. I don't know if that's something to be happy about, but it is what's happening, I guess. Alright, show as a whole. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle.
I mean, does the main course take away all the sides that they gave you? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Um, I give AEW credit, like I said, that they gave us storyline matches. It's just that they gave us the buffet of it all in one check sitting. And by the time you got to Mox, you were just like, the one non-storyline match ended up being not the greatest match. I mean, granted, other than the Hurt Business and Mercedes, there was a couple. Um, but the ones that were storyline driven hit. So I mean, or rivalry, or they had a connection. Those hit. So it's very perplexing. AEW, but thumbs in like that 3/4 area, because the ones that hit. It's just the ones that did.
So Orange Cassidy thumbs up.
Yeah, the laziest, where it's not, how can I put it? Thumbs in the middle is 45 degrees. Or no, it's flat. So no, it's like a 90. So I give it like a couple degrees up, where it's like not exactly all the way up 12 o'clock, but it's more like 9:45 to 10 o'clock. If I put it in clock terms.
Okay, I think you're making this a lot more complicated than it needed to be, Kaliko, but
Catered
okay.
to what it is, yeah. Like sorry, the wine. And but yeah, it's like in the middle where it's slightly raising, but it's not like all the way up. The flaccid thumbs up.
Okay. I give it an Orange Cassidy thumbs up, which is just, a lazy thumbs up.
We're there.
Yeah.
We
See how
exist.
simple that was?
Yeah. Don't drink wine while talking wrestling.
Okay. Alright, that will conclude our coverage of AEW Revolution and this show as a whole. Thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Play One Coffee. Join us this Tuesday as we interview Ty Williams, this Wednesday as we interview Goblin, and join us every Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews. And follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on X, Thread, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Where can we find Kaliko?
Well, you can find me at Kaliko on the road to sobriety after trying to drop this damn thumb thing.
You're measuring your thumb as we speak, going up, down, around.
Yeah, it's literally like the Pythagorean theorem with my math hint. Boom! Look at that. Who else put wrestling with math? Come on. Good shit.
For Kaliko Yachts and Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Swerve when I drive. Watch me swerve when I drive. I should have that up. Swerve. Shout out.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.